a speeding train, and wolves on the tracks. But what they were hiding? You won't believe it. Watch till the end. When the young train driver Dennis saw a pack of wolves standing on the tracks directly in front of his speeding train, he thought the animals would scatter at the last moment, but the predators didn't move, as if they were protecting something invisible to the driver. Dennis took a risk and pulled the emergency brake lever, knowing he might not be able to stop in time. When the train finally came to a halt just a few meters from the wolf pack, the Grey Guardians slowly stepped aside. What was revealed left everyone who later heard this story chilled to the bone. Dennis came from a long line of railway workers. His father and grandfather had passed down not only their professional skills, but also a special love for these places. When the time came, he went to the city to study engineering, but the hustle and bustle of the city and the polluted air only deepened his longing for his homeland. Dennis constantly remembered the smell of the taiga after rain, and how snow crunches underfoot on a frosty day. After graduating as an engineer, he returned to his native village and quickly found a job at the same railway depot where generations of his family had worked. He started small, but his determination and innate instinct did not go unnoticed. Gradually, he was entrusted with more and more responsible tasks. When he gained enough experience, he was transferred to freight trains, true iron giants that crossed vast distances across Siberia. Dennis loved his job. Each trip was a small adventure and an opportunity to witness the beauty of wild nature in all its glory. In winter, these landscapes became especially mesmerizing. Snowy expanses, frosted trees, and rivers sparkling like crystal. It was on one of these winter days in January when the frost turned breath into silvery mist and the sunlight danced on snow crystals that something happened to Dennis which forever changed his view of the world. It was a routine trip. Dennis was driving a heavy freight train through the snowy forest, enjoying the serene view outside the cab window and keeping a vigilant eye on the tracks stretching into the distance. Suddenly, a few kilometers ahead, he noticed a strange dark spot directly on the rails. His heart skipped a beat. An obstacle on the tracks always means danger, but it was still too far to see what exactly was blocking the path. Squinting forward, he tried to determine the nature of the obstacle, ready to apply the emergency brakes at any moment. As the train got closer, the shape became clearer. It wasn't a fallen tree or industrial debris. What he saw made his heart beat faster. Animals were on the tracks, and they didn't seem to be moving. As he got even closer, Dennis was amazed to see a pack of wolves. Their gray-white silhouettes stood out clearly against the snow. This behavior was very unusual for such cautious predators, and Dennis couldn't believe his eyes. Following protocol, he immediately sounded the horn. The powerful blast echoed through the taiga, bouncing off the trees. Normally, such a sound sends any wild animal fleeing in panic, but to Dennis's great surprise, the wolves did not budge. They continued standing there, forming a living barricade on the tracks. Dennis had only seconds to decide. His survival instincts told him to keep going. The train was too heavy to stop quickly, and wild animals usually run at the last second, but something about the wolves' strange behavior made him hesitate. After a painful moment of doubt, he pulled the emergency brake. The wheels screeched against the rails, breaking the silence of the taiga with a metallic shriek. The train began to slow down, but not fast enough. Dennis closed his eyes, bracing for the inevitable collision. Each second felt like an eternity. He imagined the massive machine crashing into the living barrier. The thought made him shudder, but when he opened his eyes, the train had stopped just a few meters from the wolves. What he saw next stunned him. The wolves were standing in a tight circle, heads raised, howling anxiously. They weren't fleeing or showing aggression. It seemed they were guarding or protecting something. Only after the danger had passed did the wolves slowly begin to move aside. What came into Dennis's view shook him to his core. Lying on the railway tracks was a person, an elderly man. Dennis didn't dare leave the cab while the wild predators were nearby, but the wolves, as if understanding his fear, gradually retreated into the forest. Once he was sure the animals had moved to a safe distance, Dennis grabbed a metal rod for protection, jumped down into the snow, and cautiously approached the man. With each step, his shock grew. He recognized him. It was Stepan Mikhailovich, the local gamekeeper, already over 70 years old. This man had devoted his entire life to protecting the forests and their inhabitants. Dennis had known him since childhood. As he got closer, Dennis saw something horrifying. The old man's hands were handcuffed to the rails. The cold metal had bitten into his skin. From Stepan, Dennis learned a chilling story. It turned out that local poachers, who had long held a grudge against the principled gamekeeper, had decided to take brutal revenge on him for relentlessly thwarting their illegal activities. For years, this fearless man had saved animals from traps and bullets, tracked down violators, and reported them to the authorities. Many of the wolves in those forests were alive only thanks to his tireless work. The poachers had repeatedly threatened him, but he never believed they would resort to such cruelty. They ambushed him during a patrol, knocked him out, and when he regained consciousness, he was handcuffed to the tracks, awaiting the oncoming train. Stepan Mikhailovich said that when he heard the horn of the approaching train, he had resigned himself to his fate. But then something incredible happened. A pack of wolves emerged from the forest. The proud and cautious predators he had protected all these years. They surrounded the lone figure lying on the tracks just in time to stop the massive train. Now, every time Dennis passes that stretch of forest, he slows the train down and carefully scans the area, never forgetting that day. The day he witnessed something that blurred the line between man and nature. If you like the video, don't forget to support us with a like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to see everything new in the world of the wild.